All right, we're live. Sorry for the delay. Had to get a few people in here. Had to get a few people in so that we could get this thing going. You guys hear me okay? Sorry, spaces. No, I'm not fighting with anybody, folks in the comments. Y'all relax on that. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let's share this. Let's get this out. Let's get this a few places. If you want to get on, you guys are more than welcome to DM me. I'll say that a few times through that, so probably, just keep me updated. But yeah, if you want to get on, just shoot me a DM on Twitter. You shoot me an email, tj@doublefriesnoslaw.com. I don't know if email's a little tough, man. But let me get Alan on here. I know Alan wants to get on. Let me send him a link. Listen, if you come on, you're going to be in the background for a little bit of the stream while I'm talking. Could take a little bit. Let's get after it. Let's get right into it. I want to answer questions today. Newberg might be coming on here in like 10, 15 minutes. So that'll be fun. Got a little bit of different graphics going on. Got some new little overlay here. Shout out my guy Brian for helping out with that. Florida State picking up big commitments, and we're upgrading our video over here. So that's fun. See my guy Pat in here. Thank you, Pat. My guy Courtney. My guy Tom, Matt, Kyle, Rob, Dylan. Got a full house over here today. So thank you guys for hanging out. What's up with Elon shutting down my spaces? How about this? What did we take off? I think the last spaces we did was right after beating UF. I think we did a reaction to beating UF, or maybe it was right before. I don't know. We do a reaction to either the fact that we were going to beat UF or beating UF. Either way, right? Like we knew we were winning that game. So we do that. And then we take like 3 weeks off, a little bit of a vacation. We focused more on YouTube content. There was no games happening. So it was just, trying to do something a little bit different. I signed up for a spaces yesterday. I'm like, all right, the people will love it. We had more people register for the spaces than we'd had in a long time. So you can set the reminders. So 150 people set the reminders, which typically translates like a 2-to-1. So if 150 people set the reminder, you'll have about 300 people in the space. So it was going to be a big space. Elon saw that and shut it down, huh? What in the world? What did happen to the guy who bet me $100 on the UF game? Who was that? Y'all got to go back and listen to that and find that. That's a great point. So Elon shuts down the spaces. We're here on YouTube. We're going to hang out a little bit. If you want to join, obviously it's tougher because you can't just click into the space. I'd love to get some people on here. You can come on video or just audio. Either way, let me know if you want to jump on the spaces. We'll get you on. Cameron, don't find the receipts now. Find the receipts afterwards so you don't mess up my live viewer numbers. But yeah, hit the share button, hit the like button, hit the thumbs up. Talk a little FSU recruiting, a little transfer portal, a little intro here to kind of get things going. Things have okay, so here's my big point. Here's my big takeaway. Again, if you want to jump on, shoot me a DM on Twitter. You can also shoot me an email. It's tj@doublefriesnoslaw.com. That's a really long email. Looking back, I wish I just made it tj@dfns. It'd just be so. Maybe I need to sign up for that domain. Don't nobody steal that. But that's a lot to tell people. DFNS would be a lot easier. Here's a big point. Here's a big thought. How about a year ago? When was early signing day 2021? Think about the last year for Florida State. When was it? Early signing day. It was Wednesday. I don't see the exact date, but this came out. I think it was right around this time. It may have been just earlier than this. It was, yeah. Think about how we all felt early signing day last year when Travis Hunter flipped, and then Marvin Jones Jr. picked Georgia. We did get the thank God for Jerlene Armella giving us some. It was December 15th, so a year ago last year. Thank you. Year ago yesterday. Thanks, Mike. Think about how we all felt. Again, thanks God for Armella to give me some kind of hope that night that we weren't just dead in the water. If he picks Miami, I don't make jokes about that. But think about everything since then, right? Think about since then, the Noles have won 9 of their 12 games. beat both in-state rivals, are knocking on the door of a top 10 finish on the field, should sign around a top 15 transfer recruiting class, likely sign a top 2 or 3 portal class. That's always tough because numbers affected. It's not the same grade ranking, but right now have the second best transfer class. And yeah, you're in the mix for a couple of guys that could be really, really good. Have a 5-star committed. He's going to be on campus this weekend. You know, Travis wasn't on campus the last weekend before he flipped. So over the last year, I think I just, as bad as it was a year ago, like if I'd have told you a year ago on signing day, I think we all kind of thought like, oh, that was the end of the beginning. I spoke with some people close to the program who told me, I think that the Travis Hunter and the way that signing day just went just now, I think that's the beginning of the end for Mike. I think that's the beginning of the end. I think things are going to continue to trend downhill, and it's not going to be great. And I think we'd have all, if that's the way it would have gone, if we'd have won 5 or 6 games this year and the recruiting class was in the 20s and we didn't have Hakeem committed and we weren't landing these transfers, I think we would have all said like, yeah, that was the beginning of the end. That is kind of where it all fell apart. And I think you'd have understood, like, I don't think you'd have been happy about it, but I think you'd have understood like, yeah, that's kind of where it went downhill. You get nationally embarrassed on signing day. It all kind of goes from there. But that's not at all what happened, right? Like it completely went the opposite direction. Like if I'd have told you last year on signing day, hey guys, I know this sucks. And I know we're frustrated right now. And I know that we all wanted a little bit better. I know that we all wanted things to go our way. I think if I'd have told you that we were going to win 9 of the next 12 games, I think if I'd have told you we were going to beat Miami's brains in by 42 down south, I think if I'd have told you, I know we all wanted to beat Clemson, but if I'd have told you that day, like, hey, we're going to play a 1-score game against Clemson and we're going to come up just short, but we're going to get that much closer to beating them and that much closer to taking back the ACC. If I'd have told you, hey, we're going to be the second best team in the ACC this year. We're going to finish second in the better division. We're going to beat our rivals at the end of the year in dramatic fashion to send them to 6-6. I think you'd have taken all that. I think we're going to go to New Orleans and beat LSU and dominate that game. I know it's a 1-point game. We're going to go dominate that game and win that in dramatic walk-off fashion. First of all, you'd probably call me crazy on signing day because we were all so depressed that, man, the signing day spaces, like because I've gotten into this more, right? And because covering FSU or whatever you want to call this, right? Like commenting on stuff. I've gotten somewhat emotionally detached about some of the things that happened with FSU. Like when we lost to Clemson last year, or we lost to Florida last year, I was like, oh, that's unfortunate. But like, you just kind of like have to move on. There's more stuff to be done. Signing day was a true gut punch. Like there was no emotionally detaching from that. Like I was walking around depressed all day. My wife's like, what's wrong with you? And it was just like, yeah, this is horrible. Like this is national embarrassment level. And I thought that it was the beginning of the end of the Norvell era. Like I was like, oh, this is not going to be good. And so credit to Norvell and credit to the roster, the staff for completely flipping that. We are 180 degrees different from where we were last year. I think there are still things that can be improved. And they can do that through the portal, through the recruiting class and things like that. Like they're the big thing about, so here's kind of last thought on last year. Last year's recruiting class finished number 20 overall. But I didn't think you brought in any guys that were kind of like instant impact, like day one guys, or even really season one guys, right? Like the only guy that really got in and made any kind of a difference this year for Florida State was Azariah Thomas, right? And I think that there are guys in last year's class that are going to continue to improve and continue to get better. I think Rodney Hill's going to be really, really good for the Noles. I like Antavius Woody. Tafasi is going to be really good this year, I think. I really like Sapp and Armella going forward. Duffy is potentially, a guy that you'll have some. So I think there are guys there. But when you look at this class, though it's not going to be top 10, it's probably going to finish around top 15 or so. It's 15 right now in the overall rank when you combine composite and transfer. Hakeem's going to make a difference this year. Keldrick Falk could potentially, get in and get some burn this year. Blake Nicholson will get some reps this year. Keith Sampson could get in and get some burn this year towards the later half of this year. So I think you're bringing in guys that can make a difference earlier. And you would hope that in next year's class, in the 24 class, that continues to be the case. Guys that can come in and make that difference right away. I mean, I think Simmons will play some towards the back half of this year. It may be similar to an Armella situation. But I think you'll get him in and get some burn and stuff. So instead of there just being like one guy that gets in and makes a difference, I think you're looking at like 3 to 5 this year. And then next year, hopefully that number is 7 to 8 because you continue to kind of climb in those ranks. So, I mean, things are certainly, Boots could certainly get in and make a difference. I think that, you're making that climb. And I actually got a great DM last night. I'll say this and then I'll get Alan on. I'll give some shout outs and then get Alan on. But I got a great DM last night about losing big, losing small, winning big. And I think FSU is somewhere between winning small and winning big, right? Like they've got like a foot on both sides of the line there. You're winning more than you should. You're winning more than you lose. You're winning big a lot. And sometimes you win small, right? Like you win small against Louisville. You win small against LSU. Win small against Florida. Continue to improve that. Where the Florida State's really doing that is in the talent that's on the roster. Right now, the offense is probably closer to winning big. The defense is still like between lose small and win small. Can they add some guys to improve that? Can they get some guys that haven't announced to come back? We'll see. But I think that was a good point. It's not just about on the field. All right. Shout out to Gramco, thegramco.com. You can use code TJ25 to get 25% off. Need to get your orders in now. If you're ordering for Christmas, they've got an elite holiday box that you guys should go pick up. It's way cheaper if you buy stuff in bulk. So you get gummies, pre-rolls, and Keef dusted pre-rolls. It's $50 for the holiday box. But if you use the code, you get that down under $40. So TJ25 at checkout. Really, really good deal on that holiday box. If you were to buy all that stuff individually, it would be well over $50. Thegramco.com. Link is in the description. Don't buy it until the show's over. I don't want you leaving the show to go buy that. So thegramco.com. Appreciate them and their support. They've been great, and so always like shouting them out. All right, I got Alan on here, but it says the devices are not connected. So, Alan, you might have to like jump out and jump back in. Let me shoot you a DM. If you want to come on, again, we're not on Spaces because Elon shut us down. But if you want to come on, I will. I'll send you a link. I'll send you a link to DM, to email. You can email me, tj@doublefriesnoslaw.com, and we'll get you on. What questions do you guys have? We had a question on Cypress. Yeah, on campus this weekend. I think it's good that this is the only place that he's visiting this weekend. Yeah, don't forget the code and buy when you're drinking. Yeah, I've had a lot of people. If you DM or email like Garnet and Gold or Gramco after you order without the code, and just tell them like, hey, I meant to buy it, they will take care of you. I just want to say that. So yeah, really, really big recruiting weekend. Again, if you want to jump on, you can send me a DM and I'm more than happy to get you on here. Who's in the comments saying Cypress just committed? Louis T, what are you doing here, man? Are you doing this to the people? Did this really happen? I haven't seen it on the timeline. Don't be tricking people here on the YouTube live. I'm gonna have to. If I could downvote you, I would. Really big recruiting weekend. Obviously, Cypress on campus. A couple of offensive linemen on campus. Hey, there's a defensive lineman in Fiske that I think is really, really big that I think the Noles would like to pick up. That's a big battle that seems like it's between FSU and Notre Dame. And then some guys on campus that you want to see on campus the last weekend before signing day. I think Hakeem being here is big. I think Keldrick Falk. I don't know if he's officially on campus just yet, but I do think, it is being reported that he will be on campus instead of going to Auburn. I think going to Auburn would be, pretty bad news for the Noles. I think those are the guys you need on campus, that you want on campus, that you need to get on campus, because you do need to lock those guys in. Based on what happened last year, you don't want to leave anything up in the air, right? If Hakeem was somewhere else this weekend, Keldrick Falk went to Auburn this weekend, I think that's not a good look. I think that you really need those guys here. You need them recruiting for you. Elite talent wants to play with elite talent, and you don't want to have any worries on signing day. Fiske in a sling, what's up with that? I don't know. I can reach out there. Maybe he did the chop a little too hard when he got to campus. I'm not sure. So, I mean, but a long time, right? Like a long time to go until, you really need him on the field and going. You'd like him for tour duty and stuff like that. But that's a good question. Pat asks, what's up with Fiske in a sling? Hey, do me a favor. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this later, however, do us a favor and hit that share button, hit the thumbs up, hit all of those things. We certainly do appreciate it. Talking FSU recruiting, the portal, and more. Trying to take your questions. And we might have some special guests joining here. Newberg said he may be coming on here in just a minute. And so what you guys got? Man, Allen was in. He must be moving some dirt or something on his property. Let's talk a little bit about – I don't have anybody else joining right now. Again, if you guys want to join, you can shoot me a DM or an email, and I'll get you on here. You can join with video or just audio. I can hook it up if you are running around shirtless in your house or something. But big recruiting weekend. The guys on campus this weekend, I think this is important. A lot of visits. Obviously, shout out our guys over at Noles 247 that do a really, really good job. Maybe on Flip Watch this weekend. How do you guys feel about Andy Jean? Do you predict good news today? Okay, yeah, here's some good questions coming in. Okay, how do you guys feel on Andy Jean? Florida commit coming to FSU the last weekend before signing day. Okay, so I want to preface this. I don't even think Florida would be that upset, but that does not mean that these trolls would not be gotten off if Florida State, like, I think they feel the way about him that we felt with Kearney. Right? I think Kearney was kind of like, okay, hey, if you want to be here, we want you here. But if you're going to keep flirting around with other schools, like, just go, man. Like, you're not good enough. You're not good. Like, you're not good enough. I mean, I don't mean to disparage a kid, but you're not good enough for us to play these games. Like, we are not playing the games of flip or not flip or anything else. So, yeah, I think that if Florida State could get a flip there, Hussey, yeah, I feel really good there. I think Penn State's going to do everything they can to keep that, but I think that Florida State's in a good spot there. Okay. Good news this weekend or just today? I mean, maybe today, but I think with recruits, I think we're close enough now to signing day that look, we got somebody joining. I think with recruits, we're close enough to signing day that I don't think that I think recruits will just wait till signing day. Josh, how are you doing? Look at you with your little studio there.
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound great.
Okay, I'm on my AirPods. I don't know how they're going to work on here. What's up, man?
Man, the buzz of the signing day is in the air. You excited?
Oh, I'm really excited. It's going to be fun.
It's like your Super Bowl.
Yeah, it is. Yesterday was crazy. I mean, we filmed like 10 videos in the studio. Today has been crazy. Did a UGA clip this morning and about to go live with JD at the top of the hour. We're excited for that. And then just followed all the drama, man. Look at Florida State. They're making some noise a little bit in the transfer portal and from the high school level.
What do you think about Andy Jean? Florida commit. Yeah, that's what we want to talk about, bro. Okay. We need this troll, don't we? Like the people need this.
Yes, this would be the troll that the people need to kind of cap off signing day. I think Florida State, if you're a Florida State fan, you're really excited about this class, right? Fills a ton of needs. And then you also know that there's the cavalry's coming in the transfer portal behind it. So even though it might not be ranked where you'd like to see it, but if Florida State could cap the class off by flipping one of Florida's top receivers and also a product of Miami Northwestern, I think that would just be, the best finish for FSU right now. There's not a ton left on the recruiting board at the high school level in terms of firepower, like big star names. But I do think that flipping Andy Jean would be fun.
Another flip watch. What about Conrad Hussey? There's a little bit of an echo, so I'm gonna let you roll for a minute. I'm gonna put my AirPods in. So just roll.
Or you want me to take mine out?
No, I think it's because it's picking up my mic. It's my fault.
Okay.
Conrad Hussey.
Yeah, that would be good. I think that he's a guy that they've never let up on. They kind of played the long game with him. And I think, he's ripe for the pick, and they got him on campus. And look at TJ. I don't know. I think that he would be a great addition in terms of filling a need for FSU, but not necessarily like the flashiest of flips. Although taking one from Penn State late in the game is always fun. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I heard what you said. Yeah, taking one from Penn State and late in the game. I had to run and get my AirPod. I had to actually get Kara's AirPod, so we'll see if they connect or not. What about this is Josh's live now. What about in the transfer portal? Number one, I mean, you guys is number one player. 247 is a little bit of a hater having him at number two. But Fentrell Cypress, sorry. That's a name, isn't it? What do you think about him? What do you think about Florida State's chances there? Ohio State, Auburn, LSU, UCLA all in there. Florida State really pulled that caliber?
Yeah, in the transfer portal they can. Not at the high school level. I mean, that's what Florida State needs right now because they've struck out so heavily at defensive back. I mean, a year and a half ago at this time, we were talking about FSU leading for Tony Mitchell. Zach dropping a crystal ball for Cormani McClain to FSU. Nigel Harris, 5-star DB. Favoring FSU. All of those guys came off the board for the Noles very early, way too early. So Florida State has to make up for it and go to the transfer portal. And they're right now on a good one, possibly the number one defensive back in the transfer portal out of Virginia. So I think it's a major need for FSU, and it would supplement their, kind of lackluster high school recruiting at the defensive back position.
We were talking about this before you came on. Last year, Florida State's recruiting class, like top 20-ish. This year, you think I had a take that there are more guys that are going to make an impact earlier with Williams, Falk, maybe Nicholson, Sampson, Lamont Green Jr. Do you think how many guys in that class? I mean, are those the guys that you could kind of see making an impact this year? I mean, I don't know if Simmons gets in much. Like he still may be next year, but obviously a great piece for the future. But thoughts on guys making a quicker impact this year?
It's still hard. I still think it's hard to make a quick impact at those, especially on the defensive line. We saw last year with who's the big offensive tackle from St. Thomas Aquinas? What was his name? Julian Armella. Julian Armella is a good example of just how tough it is to come in and play early because all signs pointed to him. He was the top offensive target on Florida State's board for the entire cycle. And it's hard. It's harder than people think to make that transition and make a impact on the next level. We saw what happened when you put a bunch of freshmen on the field, like Willie Taggart's first season, when he had, Steven Dix and a lot of those guys on the field when really they should not have been. And it didn't go the way that fans thought it would go when you just throw out a bunch of young kids on the field.
Got some questions here in the comments. What do you think about Marcus Woodson and the lack of DB recruiting at FSU?
Have you heard me for a year ago? I was a hater. Right?
Are you still a hater?
A year ago when I said Travis Hunter decommitted, I said there goes Marcus Woodson's safety blanket in terms of his stability on the staff. But I just don't think at Florida State that you should be recruiting the high school level the way that they are. I think that it's traditionally been a place where DB recruiting doesn't come hard for Florida State, and it seems like it sure is now, at least at the high school level.
Folks are loving your flannel. They say that's a Nashville thing, but were you wearing flannel like that in St. Pete?
I think I got it in St. Pete, but it's cold. How cold? It's like cold here today. It's like in the 30s today. What are you supposed to?
It's in the 60s here, so that's cold for Florida.
Yeah, no, it's definitely in the 30s here. So I don't know what else. What do you wear when it's cold?
People love to comment on the way you look more than any recruiting. Berg's hair, Berg's shirt,
It's
anything
always
else.
something.
Is Florida State going like big picture? People ask this, and I think we've talked about this before, but just thoughts on how Florida and Miami, even with their lackluster seasons, are still pulling in better recruiting classes. I mean, we talked a little bit about, Florida State's recruiting class kind of is what it is at this point for 2022. But is that the case? Like, how long does it take for the wins on the field, potentially have 10 this year, to translate into recruiting? And, is it just too little too late this season and it'll kind of carry over into next year? Or what are your thoughts just around that?
You mean in terms of FSU or Miami and Florida?
Yeah, I think fans look at it and say, like, okay, well, Miami and Florida were recruiting well before the season, and then Florida State won more games than both of them and hasn't really caught up in recruiting. You think, like, wins don't translate immediately?
You got to remember, like, the seeds for this class were laid like 2 years ago. So when we turned the page on the 2022 class into 23, that's when I was commenting that nearly all of FSU's top targets at the time were looking elsewhere. We covered the DBs, but Desmond Ricks is another one of those guys that kind of fell off the face of the earth for FSU that they had a good shot at. So I wouldn't say that it's necessarily disappointment. I mean, this is just where Florida State's going to. They're trending up. They're trending in a good position, in a good direction, just not as quickly as I think fans would like them to at the high school level. And then you got Miami and Florida. And I think Miami obviously has a ton of resources on the NIL side of things. And it's a very interesting experiment that's going on. May work, may not. But right now, at least they are adding a ton of talent to a roster that's been decimated by transfers, both depth pieces and starting pieces. So, it still goes back to my point about it's hard to start as a freshman. So just because all these guys are coming in next year, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to turn it around in one season. But if you are going to turn it around, you got to flush the roster and you got to bring in better talent. And that's what Miami's doing right now. Florida, I'm a little bit more worried about because we ran Dan Mullen out of town because he was landing classes that were ranked 12 through 8. If you look at Florida right now, they're sitting at 8, but they miss on Samson Okunlola. They miss on Cormani McClain. They don't have a ton left out there. Andy Jean's on campus now. Like, Florida could go either way. I don't want to say that their class could fall apart. I don't think that's possible, but they could, if they lose an Andy Jean, if Aaron Gates flips to Georgia, and if they don't land Desmond Ricks and they don't land Jordan Hall, they missed on Samson Okunlola, they missed on Cormani McClain. I mean, it starts to kind of look very Dan Mullen-esque at that point because you're standing where you are. You fired Dan Mullen to recruit better, and now you're sitting at number 8. So I think number 8 in year one of Billy Napier is solid. I wouldn't say that it's great, but anytime you can come in, miss a bowl game, and still land a top 10 class in your first year, I think that's a step in the right direction. I think if they miss the top 10, that's kind of a head scratcher.
You've talked about this paycheck to paycheck for sure. Oh, somebody wants you to bring back the hair. JD's got some hair. JD's got some hair going on. JD's hair is like literally coming into the screenshot. Like,
yeah. We got great hair on this show.
On3 definitely has the best hair. So you've talked a little bit about paycheck to paycheck and living in the portal. You talked about it on your video with JD or JD's video.
A lot of people
really
get
good.
upset when I say Mike Norvell's living paycheck to paycheck in the portal.
And they're living 90% of America's living paycheck. Like, so is everyone else in this world.
I've lived paycheck to paycheck, and it worked out great for me.
Yeah.
Still am.
Florida State may land 3 of the top 10 transfers, though. That's pretty crazy. With Bell really big in on buyers. They need to close there. And then Fentrell.
It's still early with the rankings, though, because there's going to be more
guys coming in.
Portal. I mean, Remember when we're watching the national championship game, there's going to be 20 guys on each sideline entering the portal.
Yeah. How impressive though. Like Georgia has had one kid enter the portal based on what I've seen.
That's
so
what maybe those when you win and you're sitting on a pile of money.
Yeah. And obviously kids don't want to leave before the game gets played.
Depth chart here. This always holds true in recruiting. Depth chart matters everywhere except for the place that won the national championship. Because, everybody complains about, oh, they're too deep, all this stuff, and I'm leaving. That happens to teams that don't win the national championship. If you can win the national championship, you get a lot more guys staying on your team.
Yeah. And if you're Georgia and you're the machine that you are right now, I feel like who would want to leave at this point? Let me give a quick shout out to garnetandgold.com. You can go to garnetandgold.com and use code whatever you want. Noslaw, NOSLAW, or Spaces 15. Elon kicked us off of Spaces. So, yeah, use Noslaw, NOSLAW. Get 15% off if you're shopping for Christmas, shopping for Hanukkah, if you're shopping for the bowl game. Go to garnetandgold.com and use code NOSLAW, NOSLAW. Best FSU apparel and gear out there. Josh, you guys have a show coming up at noon. Tell the people about the show.
Yeah, we're jumping on, and we are going to talk – I got JD's notes right here.
Give the people the inside scoop.
For National Signing Day, we're going to talk some SEC recruiting inside the top 10. Texas is on a roll. Flip season. I don't know what that's going to be, but it's a whole segment called Flip Season.
Leave us out of that.
We're going to talk a little bit about Ohio State and Michigan and just the dynamics of their recruiting.
Should be fun. People need to go. People, if you're in here watching this one, you need to like and subscribe for sure. But after you do that, and after this video is over, go to the On3 video. I loved JD's. I liked his dating analogy. It's time to put a ring on it, though.
Analogy. TJ said he liked the dating analogy.
Time to put it.
I think it's the thing where like Florida State at some point will want to have a ring on it, right? Like dating is fun. Winning 9 games is fun. It's great for a period of time. But at some point, like, what are we? Are we going to be a conference title team? Or are we just going to kind of be a flirtatious relationship? That's my thought. I like the paycheck to paycheck as well, though. I think that's on the money.
Yeah, and let me just explain the paycheck to paycheck thing, because for the FSU fans that are triggered by me saying that, I'm not saying it has nothing to do with economics or financials. What I'm saying is the fact that Mike Norvell keeps on bringing in like look at the Jermaine Johnson. The Jermaine Johnson situation is a perfect example. You have a huge need at defensive end heading into that season. You land Jermaine Johnson. Jermaine Johnson comes in. He's not a high school recruit, so you don't have him for guaranteed 3 years. He comes in. He just dominates. He does everything you want him to do, but then he leaves. So it's on Mike Norvell now to bring somebody in the very next year. That's the paycheck to paycheck thing, because some of these guys are just 1 year stopgaps. And what would be ideal is that Florida State is landing such great players from the high school level that in a year or two, they develop into these next starters, and you now go to the portal to land 2 or 3 guys. I mean, I'm not crazy. You can go ask Mike Norvell himself. Mike Norvell's goal every year isn't to sign 12 transfer portal guys. His goal is to recruit the high school level, build them from the ground up. It helps with the culture. It doesn't cost as much, and you're not losing guys year after year. So that's the whole paycheck to paycheck thing.
I don't have a problem with your paycheck to paycheck take. I think that's fine.
And it's not a bad thing. We're all doing it.
Only the people that are doing it are getting upset by that analogy, which is me. Like, paycheck to paycheck. So if I had a job. You got anything else before you get out of here? I know you got to get going to your other show, but anything else you want to talk about? Oh, you want to talk about the tight ends? You want to talk about Morlock and Bell?
Oh, shit. Yeah, I want to talk about the tight ends. How long
this offense is going to be sick, by the way.
And again, this is another thing that I was a bad guy for a year ago when saying we just need more tight ends, more. I know Mike Norvell signed 6 of them since 2020, but not one of them can play. So until we can find a tight end that can play, you got to bring in more and more, because you can tell how much Mike Norvell wants to use a tight end in his offense. And seeing these guys that they've been trotting out there, I mean, no offense to them, but they're just not getting the job done. And you can argue with me till you're blue in the face, but it's the reason why FSU's in the portal, making Jaheim Bell a priority, making Sporlock, or however the hell you say his name, a priority. And now look at the room. All those guys that y'all were trying to convince me were good, they're not going to be playing next year.
I know we made jokes about this in the summer, but have you booked your tickets to Charlotte yet for the ACC championship?
I could probably drive to Charlotte.
Yeah, that's a good point. But you need a hotel, right? Florida State should compete for it.
I'll sleep in my car since I'm paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, that's true. Down by the river. Florida State should compete for it, right? I mean, we know jokes about it last year, but like that's kind of what JD's analogy was. Like,
to Charlotte.
It's 7-hour drive to
oof.
Charlotte.
Sounds awful. I think you on 3 might need to pay.
But if you're flying from Nashville, right, you got to get to the airport an hour and a half early. Yeah, like it's probably just about even.
Yeah, and then you got to rent a car. But is On 3 paying for the flight?
I'm not going if On 3's not paying.
Yeah, let them pay for it. First class all the way.
Trip.
Yeah. They should compete for it though. With Jordan Travis coming back, Trey Benson coming back, upgrades on offense. If they get, Fentrell, other pieces on defense. The defense is what worries me. I think they need to improve, especially if Verse and Fabo and J-Rob all declare, which we'll see. Fingers crossed on those guys. But I feel pretty good about the ACC, at least being in the conversation for it, especially with the pod system. You're going to lose Devin Leary from the ACC. Sam Hartman's probably going to leave. I think it's a 3-team battle, right? With UNC, Clemson, and Florida State fighting out for 2 spots to get into the ACC championship.
Yeah, and I was on JD's show yesterday. He asked me a good question about, kind of the standard where Florida State's at in terms of what fans are expecting. And if you were just entering the college football world this year and you followed college football on Twitter, you'd be like, man, these Florida State fans are really happy with the 9-win season and the fact that they didn't make a conference championship game. It's kind of weird. Is that what gets Florida State fans excited? In a vacuum, yeah, Florida State fans are overly excited for a 9-win team. But if you back it away a little bit further and you realize what they've been through since 2017, they're excited because this feels like a step in the right direction. Like if Florida State goes out and wins 8 or 9 games next year, it's not really living up to the standard. I think Florida State has now cleared the bar of where competing for a conference championship is now the goal. And then after you compete, I don't need to say where it goes after that, but I think that's the most logical step. And if Mike Norvell can't get Florida State to that next level, it's not like fans are going to celebrate him. Eventually, he's going to get run out of town for not doing it. But all signs point to Mike Norvell having Florida State heading in that right direction. 3 seasons in the books now, and there's no denying that FSU is in a better place than they were before he took over.
Yeah, I think that getting to 9 this year maybe advanced expectations. A year ahead of time. I think we were all thinking like 7, 8 ceiling. Getting to 9 or 10, maybe jump that ahead. But yeah, if you go out and win 9 again next year I know that it's very early, but with an on-paper schedule that is slightly easier than this year's, you get LSU in Orlando instead of going out there. NC State's off the schedule. Wake Forest loses Hartman most likely. I think that winning, Miami still should be down. I think that, and then you've gotten better on offense. You think? I think that winning 9 next year would be kind of like disappointing. But if you win 10 and you go to the ACC championship to play Clemson and you win that at 11-2, they're talking about you in the play, for a playoff spot. Like you're finishing in the top 6 to 7, right? Now, do you get in? Is there enough chaos? But 11-2 might get you in. And then in 24, it definitely gets you in, right? So I think that if you can just take one more step, that's what people are talking about and where you're competing. You can't get all these guys back this year and flop, right? Guys, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel if you're on here watching. This is the best live viewers we've ever had. So I thank Josh and I thank JD's hair for that for sure. But people can certainly come and subscribe to your channel as well. We tell the people again what you got going on at noon.
Yeah, we're going to jump on here in 15 minutes. You guys should all be subscribed to the On3 YouTube page at this point. We dropped a great segment on Florida State and the transfer portal yesterday. I hopped on JD's show. We cut it out as an individual segment. It's up on there now. So go over there, check it out, slap that subscribe button, and tune in 15 minutes to when me and JD are going live.
Appreciate it, man. You got anything else you want to say before you get? Oh, you're doing something tonight. You're just on camera all day, aren't you?
Yeah, I am making the return the return to the platform. I'm going on CJ's Live on the Roll Up Network to talk a little Florida State tonight. I'm really excited about that. I'm just talking shit all day. We did 10 videos yesterday, 3 lives yesterday. I taped a segment today. We're going to do another live in 15 minutes. I'm going to go live with CJ tonight. So yeah, it's pushing season around here.
It is. Well, I appreciate you for hanging out, my man. Thank you for your time. I'm sure we'll see you soon. Try to get some rest between now and signing day.
No problem. See you.
See you, bud. Josh Newberg, formerly Noles 247, now of the On3 Network. Next year, schedule tougher. That's an interesting. So I don't know, man. I think this year's a little bit easier. I think that the ACC is taking a little bit of a step back. Let's look at it. Let's look at FSU's 2023 football schedule quickly. I want to wrap up in the next 13 minutes because I do want you guys to be able to go and watch Josh's show. I also want to go watch college football. There's college football on. So LSU at home, in Orlando as opposed to on the road. I think that's slightly easier. So I give us you could call that a push. I think what is tougher is going to Ben Hill and going to Tiger Stadium for Clemson. But you get Miami at home, and I think they'll still be down. You get Syracuse at home. I think Wake is going to be down. And then your other ACC competition, I think, is still pretty easy. I think Virginia Tech comes to Tallahassee. That's a win for FSU. I think Duke coming to Tallahassee as opposed to going there, I think that's a win for FSU. Boston College on the road, I'm really not worried about that. Jerkovich leaving, Flowers being gone. I think BC is pretty down. You play North Alabama and Southern Miss, who I don't think are great. Like, that's essentially Duquesne and Louisiana to me. North Alabama, same as Duquesne. Southern Miss, kind of the same as Louisiana. You got to go to Pitt. That's the one that could be a little bit tricky. That's probably your second toughest ACC game, though. So I don't know. I think if you can – I think you should win all your ACC games. And if you split with Pitt and Clemson, you're in the ACC championship. And if you split with Florida and LSU, you're going 10-2. So I don't know. I think next year's a little bit easier. That's just my take. I think not having NC State super helpful. But could be wrong. I mean, I think you got to win one of those big road games though. You got to beat Clemson or Florida. Obviously, you like to win both of them and see what happens. Let's see if we get Alan in here. Whoa, Alan, you got a lot of background noise, man. You got on a tractor? How's it going?
Hold on, buddy. Hold on. You hear me now?
Yeah, how's it going, my man? I can see inside your ear now.
Yeah, it's good, man. I'm on a machine over in Orlando. We're put a pipe in a ditch at the airport.
Man, you're always out there working.
Hey, man, you got to make a dollar, paycheck to paycheck stuff.
That's what we're all doing. Alan, how you feeling, man? I ain't seen you since Clemson. Hope all's well.
Yeah, everything's good. We went up to Nashville for commitments. Had a good time up there with that. That was a lot of fun, and got to see a lot of people, and it was a good time.
I got to get up there next year. Just too much with this newborn, with this 6-month-old taking away. But how are you feeling about the signing class? How are you feeling about the transfer portal? Where are you at, man?
I think the portal's going really well. The two tight ends were huge, I think, and then Travis coming back and everybody else coming back, obvious. I think we go, 11-1 next year. Gators don't scare me that much with Cousin Billy. I don't know. That's just one quarterback transferred, one is in jail. They got to do something with that. I mean, he declared for the draft, right?
Yeah.
BB gun 15. Another dude, the other dude's in jail, so they got to get a quarterback. I think they got to listen. That guy's going to be okay, I think, but we had a lot to clean up. I think he does as well.
Yeah. No, I think Florida. I mean, they've got an okay class, like Josh talked about. They could either close like decently, or they could lose a couple of pieces and kind of fall into that. I mean, Florida falls into like that 12 range, and they've given us crap all year about recruiting, and we finish at like 15 and do better in the portal. Like, that's going to be funny in the light. But
they're the only fans I know that can be losing by 40 and still run their mouth.
It's amazing. Lose to Vandy and then FSU, and it's just
my mom, who's 83. She's a huge Alabama fan. Her and my brother were the very first SEC championship game at Legion Field in Birmingham, where I'm from. And she tells you to this day, she hates Gator fans.
I don't blame her. So yeah, like I feel good about. I mean, I feel good about beating them next year. We'll see what they pick up. Like if they were to pick up a Hartman or like just a truly elite quarterback. I mean, yeah, like I think that we didn't do a great job against their running game. The running game will be really good again next year, but kind of see what they do. They're not really making moves in the portal like we are. They picked up a scrub from Louisville who didn't even play enough snaps to like register a grade on PFF. Like I'm not so worried about that. But Alan, I appreciate you, my man. I'm gonna jump off here in a few minutes, but thanks for coming in.
Hey, man, thanks for sending me the link, and you guys have a great day, great weekend. Merry Christmas. I don't say Happy Holidays. I say Merry Christmas, and go Noles.
Go Noles, buddy. You can say Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays on here. It doesn't bother me either way. But I usually do say we celebrate Christmas in this house. But I do. But like Josh celebrates Hanukkah, so I usually tell him. I think 10-2's got to be the minimum. Yeah, Pat, I'm looking at I did forget to ask Josh about Destin Hill. I'm very sorry about that, guys. I got to start putting Destin Hill in the title of every one of my YouTube videos because it just gets better clicks. I don't know if LSU's that much better. I think they lost some pieces. I think they're going to be about the same. I mean, they lost to A&M to end the year. Like, I just still don't think LSU's that great. They lost some pieces to the portal. They lost some pieces to the draft. I don't know. I don't know that LSU's that much better. I think even if LSU's better, I think we've gotten as much better as they have. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think if LSU's taking a step up, we have as well. And then that game's here. So they don't worry me as much. I don't know that UF's better right now. I mean, certainly not with AR gone. Their running game is still really good, but have we met? Yeah, I can't believe I forgot to ask him about it. Verse hasn't announced yet. I don't know, guys. There's 3 guys. Actually, there's 4 if you consider Trayshawn Ward. There's 3 guys that I'm really kind of waiting on to see what they do, and that's J-Rob, Fabo, and Verse. I would be shocked. I think if you're an FSU fan, if you can get one of those guys back, I think you're thrilled. Like, I would lean towards maybe one coming back. That's not inside info. I don't have any kind of scoop that says 1 or 2 or any are definitely coming back. I think there's a good chance all 3 leave. I think if you're Jared, I mean, the way I look at it is if you're Jared Verse and you're getting a first-round grade, you don't come back. Like, you got to go. I don't think you should – if you're getting that kind of money and you're getting drafted – okay, serious talk. Do you want to get drafted 5th overall for the money, or do you want to get drafted 15th or 20th overall and go to a good team and maybe get a second, have a better chance of getting a second contract? Like, I don't think getting drafted 20th is a bad thing. Like, I don't know that I'm coming back to maybe get drafted top 5 or 10, right? So I think Verse should leave. I think J-Rob's probably going to leave. Like, I think he's like the 5th or 6th best safety in the country. And I think he really improved his stock over the last few weeks. And so, yeah, I think J-Rob should go. Fabo's the guy that I feel like because he was hurt so much this year and didn't get to put as much on tape. Like, I think he's a guy that could be like 4th, 5th round this year and could end up being like 2nd, 3rd round next year. So, like, to me, like, Fabo would be the guy that kind of makes the most sense to come back. If you could somehow pull 2 of them back, maybe Versus mocks aren't the grade that he's getting. Maybe his grade is more like 2nd round and he wants to get up into that 1st round. So, like, I could see that happening. I don't think you're getting all 3 back. And I think essentially you're probably just going to get 1 back at the best. Duffy for the future. I don't know. There's a lot of competition in that room. Duffy's, I don't really know what progress he's making because he's kind of like the 3rd quarterback all year this year. Like, Tate was your number 2 guy and came in and did pretty well in some situations. Duffy for the future. I mean, he's going to have a lot of competition with Brock Glenn there, Croman Hoke the year after. We'll see. I mean, it's kind of on him to be that guy. Speaking of Duffy, I do want to give a shout out to Salamone Digital Marketing. You guys can follow TJ Salamone. His link for Twitter is in the comments. Everything you give when you subscribe to him on Twitter goes back to FSU's NIL, and he does deals with guys like AJ Duffy. He's done deals with Jordan and Travis in the past. So Salamone Digital Marketing, appreciate them and their support. Again, that's in the Twitter. I'm sorry, the Twitter link is there in the top of the description. Guys, well over 200 people in here. Again, this is the biggest live we've ever had. I'll give Josh some credit, but you guys have stuck around, so I appreciate that. Make sure you're subscribed. I don't want to give too much away, and don't be sending me a DM asking about this stuff, but I have 2 commitment. I shouldn't say this. I have 2 commitment videos already taped and recorded. If you're not subscribed right now, I hope you miss them when they first happen. I hope you miss them when they come out because they're coming out. So I have two things. Don't ask me who it is. I'm not telling you. If my mom's on here commenting, I'll tell her. But I've got two ready to go. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss those. 80% of people that watch YouTube lives are not subscribed. You should be subscribed to this one. We've got more heat coming for you very soon. Got about 4 minutes, and we're going to go ahead and wrap up. LSU will be better next year, so will we. Mike Norvell will outcoach Brian Kelly for the third straight year. I think you're right there. Hill was spotted on Bob Stoops' plane at the Tally Airport, confirmed tail numbers. Just because you're graded in the first round doesn't mean you get drafted in the first round. I agree with that. You know, like Jermaine Johnson was and certainly not mocks. Like some mocks go even higher, and those guys fall a little bit. But if you're getting a first round grade, I mean, I do think you should go. I think you should take that chance. Like that's life-changing money. I think you, I don't know. I mean, I love all three of them came back. Yeah, all three of them come back. I'm pushing the playoff narrative, right? But I don't know. Like I can't, I'm never upset with the kid that leaves. Who wants to get drafted by Carolina or worse? That's a good point. That'd be a terrible place to go. I think Verson's up with a second round grade. If he gets a second round grade, I think. Sorry. I mean, I think you could see him back. I think you could certainly see that. Verse is, and that's the other thing. Verse and Robinson are kind of combine freaks. Like they're athletic guys that are really, really good. See, like I don't think Fabo goes out and tests like super well. Big, huge, strong, powerful guy. I think he could put more on tape. Hope Duffy will be QB2 next year. I mean, I will say Tate didn't look bad when he came in. I don't know. I mean, there was the concern around Travis's health. More of a level than just any starting quarterback. Like if any starting quarterback goes down, like that team's in trouble. I think this team can win 8-9 games with Duffy or Tate, just for what it's worth. Like I think that's where this team is at right now, especially with the running game, the offensive line, the weapons, the growth that you've seen from those guys. Mike Norvell getting a lot out of his team. The backup doesn't matter as much to me this year. I think Jordan Travis has done a great job of staying healthy, getting down when he needs to, getting to the sideline. He's so elusive. He's put on weight. The worry around a second string quarterback, just for me this year, isn't what it has been in the last few years. Best class in the ACC. I mean, I think that's going to be tough because I do think Clemson's going to be higher. When you look right now at the overall rankings, Clemson's still at number 10 and you're at number 15, right? So you're not going to have the best class in the ACC. And Miami's in the top 5. So I don't think that's possible. I mean, if Clemson was to fall a little bit, you might get 2. But Miami first, Clemson second. Appreciate you guys hi, it's me, TJ's mom, who's committed. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on. Hussey visiting the U, that's probably I don't know if he's visiting or not. I haven't. You can check Gabby and them at the Miami inside the U. I can try and look that up real quick, and then we'll try and get out of here. One more plea to you guys. Make sure that you're subscribed. Again, we've got stuff recorded. We've got stuff coming down the pike quickly. Shout out to Gramco. Again, TJ25 gives you 25% off, as well as Garnet and Gold, garnetandgold.com, Noslaw, NOSLAW, to save 15% there. I don't see anything on Hussey visiting, but I also am doing a live show right now. So if somebody, I don't know if that's confirmed or not. If you guys say it's happening, then great. I think that, if he's in Miami, that's not great for FSU, but you guys tell me. Fiske injured. I don't know. I have no clue. Fiske showing up in a sling. I have no clue if that's just not my knowledge. It's a long way until the season starts. So I just can't stress about an injury to a kid that isn't playing until August. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. I think I'm going to jump off here. It's 12 o'clock. We tried to push Josh's show. Appreciate him coming on. We could have a video. So somebody asked this. Tonight or this weekend, when's the news coming? There's potential for tonight or tomorrow. more than likely, like you're going to see some stuff Sunday, Monday. For recruits, I think it's all kind of Wednesday. I don't think any recruits are – I'll end up being wrong on this, but I think recruits just kind of wait till signing day when it's this close. Transfers, you could have some stuff happening. So stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed. Support the sponsors down below, Garnet and Gold, Gramco, and Salamo Digital Marketing. I really do appreciate you guys. It's a blast hanging out here for an hour. I miss doing lives. So we'll do this again soon. We'll probably do something on signing day. So stay tuned. Stay subscribed. Like, thumbs up, comment, all those things. Tell a friend, tell a friend. Appreciate you guys. Talk soon. Go Noles.